Thanks for watching. Bye. What do you mean that was too fast? You want more details? Okay, you asked for it. I'm gonna give you the longer version. There it is. Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the Rusty Beauty Stories. And today we are again on the 66 GT6 here. If you remember, in the last episode we patched the floor here, made these patches here and here, and then I started welding over my previous welds that I've done from inside, but somewhere I penetrated well, somewhere I didn't. Like here, for example, you see I didn't do a good job. So wherever I need to weld from this side as well, I will do. I'll finish this because this is not welded from inside at all. But you see, this is where I've done it already. This, for example, doesn't need to be done, but I didn't finish because my welder ran out of wire. So now I got wire and I have a lot. I bought a lot so I don't run out of wire. Now next is I'm gonna run out of gas soon, but that I can do nothing about. But I have a gas supplier nearby that I can go in literally half an hour and come back. So whenever it's over, and I'm gonna go do it. So I still have to weld here and there and over there and run these again, make sure that everything is welded properly. I need to add little strips of metal here because I left too big of a gap there, so needs to be filled with little strips of metal. So that's my plan for the next few hours, and I don't think that's gonna be interesting for you, just watching me weld. I might just paint something and let you watch paint dry while I'm welding, so you're not so bored. Just kidding you. I'm gonna work on my own, and if something interesting happens, I'm gonna film it, of course, but if not, I'll bring you back when we start some more interesting job. After I weld that, we need to come here inside and make a patch for here and for here as well. But for that, we're gonna flip the body a little bit on the other side of the rotisserie. That's the good part of this rotisserie, that it has different positions that you can put it on. So we're gonna do that, and maybe in this episode or in the next episode, I don't know, we're gonna start repairing the rear valance here because it's cheesy. We'll see how we're gonna do that, but that's my plan for today. So without further ado, let me get crack-a-lacking and you take a break. I'll bring you back when I'm done with all this welding here. All right, it's another day. And as you can see, I don't know if I showed you that at the end of the last segment, but everything is completed here. I welded everywhere, all the seams that I made from inside, and filled all the holes, and everywhere that we had seams, everything is welded on this side as well. And like I showed you before, there are these cross members inside that need to be finished. But you know what? I'm gonna leave that for now, and I'm gonna move to the back of the car, and we're gonna focus on the rear valance finally. So here as well, this is welded everywhere, and there, all little holes from rivets. You know how they had patches here that they just riveted. So we filled the rivet holes and everything. So let me relocate a little bit the body so I have more access. Here we're tied to the wall, and then we're gonna see what we can do about these holes here. I don't want to make small patches. I could, but now that we have the English wheel, maybe it's a better idea if we make a whole piece, maybe half of the valance repair, and then make another one for down there. Because I'm not very experienced with the English wheel, so I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do that. Because to do that, I would have to make a strip that's this wide, bend the flange, stretch a little bit the flange here and there to make this curve, that naturally the Valance has, and then on the English wheel make this volume here. But unfortunately, my English wheel is way too wide, the wheel itself, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it if I have a flange here. That's gonna prevent me, you know. But if I make the volume first, and then how am I supposed to bend the flange? You know, it's not gonna work on the brake, because now we're gonna have some volume this way. So we will see. Maybe the other option is to do it, as I said, with the flange first, make the shape of the flange and everything, then start making the curve on the English wheel, and if I need to come closer to the edge, this I can do on the planishing hammer actually, because the planishing hammer also can make this volume. So yeah, anyways, we will see. Let me pull a little bit the body away from the wall, and then we're gonna start working on it. Okay, so to begin with, I made this piece, and now I'm gonna start stretching the flange here and there until it matches this shape, because now it's rocking, you see? So we're not gonna start all the way from the end, because here I already made the repair. So we're gonna start from where this gap is, and we're gonna end in the center. So I guess we should start from the center up and start bending it little at a time. So we're gonna see where it rocks. So it rocks right here. So we're gonna stretch very little here. We should actually mark so we can position it every time at the same place. So that's our starting point. Now it needs a little bit here. Now I'm gonna try to make it as accurate as possible, even though I'm pretty sure that when we start working it with the English wheel here, it's gonna also affect a little bit of this curve. I'm hoping that the flange, since it is perpendicular to the main surface of the patch, is gonna hold it where it is, where we put it initially. But even if it moves after that, we can always readjust it later, because the flange is there. We can stretch or shrink or whatever we need to do. So here. Okay, I think that's it. We're pretty good now. I think it's touching everywhere. I have no way of telling if it's touching, that's the problem. I don't know if I shine light here. Yeah, if I shine light here, it shows me where it's touching and where it's not. And I think we're pretty good. Alright, so now let's see how we can give it a little bit of volume here. Alright, first of all, let's see how close to the edge we can go with the English wheel. Very little pressure. Rusty is outside and he's bored. Okay, I think it needs more pressure. Again, I'm not specialist on English wheel at all, so I'm learning here. But I know that here we need more volume than anywhere else, because this is looks like the flange is keeping it the correct shape, which is good. So normally the English wheel is going to give it the shape this way, but also gives it a shape this way. It looks like this flange is keeping it in the correct shape, so that's good. You see what I'm talking about? I can only go to this line here. I can't go closer to the flange, which I think I need to. So we're gonna do that on the planishing hammer. But we're gonna keep going here for a while, and then we're gonna go on the planishing hammer. I think we overbent the flange because I didn't realize this is not 90 degrees here, flash, so anyways, let me try and open it a little bit, which is gonna change this curve, so we're gonna have to readjust after. Stop! Of course, that changed the shape now. So now, as you can see, it is too high in the center still, so we still have to shrink a little bit here, but also now it curved this way. So I think if we shrink this edge a little bit here at the end, that's gonna help it a little bit with the volume in the middle, but also it's gonna hopefully push it that way a little bit. Let's try. Yeah, I think it's getting straighter. And here we said we have to shrink a little bit so it can go down. Okay, looks good. Now it is pretty good in this direction. There's no more curve this way. And it's also, well, maybe it can go down a little. Stretch here. Shrink. Okay, now it's touching everywhere. So now we just need to keep bringing this down. So back to the English wheel, from here to here somewhere. Here it's almost there. Oh no, needs more at the end too. I don't want to go too close to the edge because here we shrunk, right? That was for a reason. So now if we go with the English wheel, we're gonna stretch it again, and we don't want that. So I'm trying to stay somewhat in the center. I think this half from the center in that direction is pretty much okay, but we need to stretch here too. So let's go on the planishing hammer for that. Like, I don't have many dies for here, but I put one with a little crown, and let's see how close we can go to the edge. Very, very gentle. one pass, and it already made a pretty good curve. Wow. Let me go test it. Okay, it's not bad. I'm gonna go give it a little bit more on the planishing hammer here. Alright. I don't know if I mentioned here, but I put a vice grip here at the bottom where the mark is, so I don't need to find the mark every time, because I saved you some of the hassle, but I spent the last half an hour here planishing a little bit more here and there and shrinking a little bit the edge. Again, English wheel. So I'm like I said already, I'm not really good with those 3D shapes yet, so I'm experimenting. That's why I didn't want to confuse anyone with what I was doing, but I went a little bit here, a little bit there, and I think now it is pretty good. So if we clamp this flange here and we clamp this flange here, I believe we have a pretty good shape now everywhere. So I think that's where we're gonna leave it. I'm just gonna run it a few times on the English wheel with a very low pressure though, like almost no pressure, so we don't stretch it anymore, but just to get rid of these marks, because I can see here the marks from the planishing hammer. We're gonna try to get rid of that, and then I think we're ready to mark it, cut it, and tuck it in place, or maybe weld it before we go and do the same for the other side. I'm happy. As a beginner English wheeler, I'm happy with this result. Alright, that's perfect. I'm gonna mark it, and before I cut it, I'm gonna clean the paint because it's easier. And then we're gonna mark it one more time and we're gonna cut it. I haven't ground very well my old weld here, so I'm gonna grind it now. And also there are some dents here, right where our mark was. So we're gonna try to get rid of these dents before we cut it, because that's gonna give us troubles after. So I'm gonna put this dolly from behind, and with my slapper, we're gonna try to get rid of these. I can't reach very well. I need longer arms or longer neck so I can stretch my neck and look at it. I don't see what I'm doing. It's coming out. Okay, I think that's good. Whew. Alright, so let's mark it and cut it this time, and we're gonna go from there. So now when we eventually remove this flange from here, the whole piece is gonna move by the thickness of this flange towards the front of the car. So we're gonna have to cut now on this side of the line. Alright, so everything is prepared for the welding. I just sprayed it with a little bit of a rust converter, so we're gonna wait for it to do its magic. Then we're gonna primer it, and we're gonna primer the back of our piece as well, and then we can weld it. But while we are waiting for all this to happen, I'm gonna start making the piece for the other side. All right, the second one is also almost ready. You can see here, have a little bit more work. I need to bring this down somehow, but the rust converter is done. I primed it and I primed the back of this flange here. So I think I'm gonna start tacking it. I can weld here and there, and then I can let it cool down and go finish the other piece, and then just keep switching back and forth between the two so I don't overheat them, you know. Ideally, we should have the piece matching perfectly without twisting it and making it match. I mean, just put it there and it should fit perfectly. But I'm not that good, so we're gonna have to work this way. Tack it where it matches and then twist a little bit somewhere else, make it match, tack it there as well, etc, etc. So it matches right here. Alright, it's all tacked, and I think so far the shape is pretty good, and I'm gonna try to keep it this way, which means I'm gonna go really slow. I'm gonna make tack, 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 and stop. And then I'm gonna do something else, and then I'm gonna come again here and again do tack, 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 tack. Hopefully we're not gonna warp it too bad. I know that we're gonna warp it, but hopefully it's not gonna be too bad, because we figured out with the doors that after it's ground, we can planish it a little bit and then grind more, and then planish more until it is perfectly smooth. But here I don't have access, like my arms are not long enough, unless I find a longer dolly, or like I can use a hammer with the handle or something. Maybe I can use a dolly with a handle, I don't know. But we'll try to keep it as straight as possible. So I'm gonna do that on my own, because it's gonna be like watching paint dry. And I'm gonna finish this patch, and I'm gonna show you before I'm ready to cut it. Alright, that's how it fits. It is not too bad. So I'm gonna cut this one out as well, and I'm gonna tack it, and we're gonna keep welding a little bit at a time here. Here I didn't tell you, I should have made this piece a little bit longer to reach the new metal here, this patch that I made, but I didn't, and there was a piece of the old metal here, and it was pretty thin, so I cut it off. So we're gonna have to add a piece here. Here again, I cut it a little bit too short. So anyways, we're gonna fill this gap with something. But yeah, it looks good. All right, making some progress here. I'm going really slow. Like literally, I'm making tack, 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 tack. And then I'm doing something else for probably 5-6 minutes. And then I go and do another series of tacks, but just one tack in a place, then 2-3 inches away, and going like this. So I have the feeling that this time I'm really gonna keep it unwarped, but we will see. Anyways, in the meantime I cut also this and removed the flange from here, but unfortunately here we have issues with this back piece as well, here and here. I was just thinking about that over there when I was removing the flange from there, And I was thinking, how is it possible that this piece is rusted, but the other one on the other side is still solid? Well, there it worked. Here somehow it didn't. So I'm gonna have to cut a piece from here and here. Probably I'm gonna go all the way to the new metal, from here to the new metal. And I'm gonna replace a piece here and here. I'm gonna continue with that weld over there, and that's how it's gonna be for a while. Meanwhile, it's dark outside already. They changed the time and now it's getting dark at 4 o'clock. Crazy. All right, so this entire seam is welded. It took me a while, but you can see the heat pattern. It's like pretty small. And I believe that we didn't overheat it and we didn't build up too much weld, so it shouldn't take too much grinding, which means not too much heat during grinding as well. So that's good. Here I patched one. I need to grind it a little bit, especially here where the flange is, because the weld is going to be in the way for the other flange. And I cut the metal from here and I made a patch that goes like this, but I'm gonna leave it for now because it's dinner time, so I'll be back here in the garage tomorrow. All right, it's the next day. I already patched that little repair there and I painted this flange of the repair patch. Quiet, give me that. And I painted this flange of the repair patch. I have no idea why my weld-through primer is doing this. It's like leaking all over the place when I spray. Maybe I should change the nozzle. I don't know, but it's making a mess everywhere. Doesn't really matter. It's painted, so next we're gonna put it on, we're gonna tack it, and we're gonna try to weld it the same way as there. I'm really happy how this turned out without warping too much. Actually, I don't see any warpage, so I'm happy. All right, this is tacked in place. It's not too bad. It is lining up perfectly everywhere, but it is under tension, which is not good, but like I said, it would be a great idea. Stop! Come here. Give me that. Give it. Give it. Give it. Rusty. I'll give it back. I'll give it back. Just give me a minute. Like I said, it would be great if it fitted perfectly without twisting it and putting it under tension, but I couldn't. So it is fitting well now, but it's under tension. So hopefully as I'm welding it, it won't go back to its shape that it prefers to be in. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna do a few tacks and then let it cool down. In the meantime, I'm gonna come and make this patch for here. I'm gonna start doing the spot welds little by little. So it's gonna take time, but I hope we're gonna do a good job without warping it. All right, we're making progress here. I've done pretty much probably half of it. It's already welded. There's still gaps that we need to fill. Haven't started doing the spot welds yet because I figured that my welder and my spot welder share the same plug and I have to unplug it all the time and switch the plug. So not gonna do the spot welds yet, but I've done a plug weld here between the two pieces where I welded them. I've done a plug weld, so it's keeping them together now, and I have the vice grip as well to keep them together. I've done this repair here. I inserted a piece. I think I overheated it. I went ahead and I welded it at once. So now I'm gonna start grinding this part a little bit at a time and welding there a little bit at a time, and again grinding and welding and grinding and welding, and then spot welding and grinding, spot welding and grinding. And you know, so we don't overheat any areas. But yeah, making progress, more progress. So I think I welded it in full now, so I'm gonna start grinding it. This one I ground and then I went and I filled some pinholes. We're gonna finish those and then we start with the spot welds, And soon this repair is gonna be done. I think we managed to keep it pretty straight, not warped. Here I'm really happy. Like I said, did I say that I was happy? Maybe I missed. Yeah, I am happy. Okay, so I'm actually really happy with this result. Of course, it's not perfect. There's, especially here, where my two pieces meet, I made my pieces match perfectly the shape of the valance everywhere, except where they match each other. So they didn't match each other perfectly, and I had to bang it from inside and outside a little bit. So there's a little dent here, but that's fine. That's going to be filled up with body filler. There's a little dent here. I might try to planish it a little bit more, but like I said, my arms are not long enough. Anyways, I'm really surprised that it didn't warp, and now I figure what the key is. The key is to weld it slow. And I always knew that this was the key. I always knew that I have to weld it slow, but I struggled defining slow, I guess. Because I was doing 2-3 tacks, then 2-3 tacks, 2-3 tacks, 2-3 tacks, 2-3 tacks, and then maybe a minute later I go and do the same thing. Obviously I have to wait a lot more. And now I wasn't even doing 2-3 tacks one next to each other. I was doing only 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 5-6 minutes do something else somewhere, and then another 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and it didn't work. Like at all, which is probably my best achievement so far since I started welding. I'm happy. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. I hope that you liked this episode and stay tuned for more. I want to thank to all my Patreons and all the other people who support the channel by finding different ways, by sending PayPal transfers or donating things. This list here that you see is only my Patreons, but also other than that there are many other people who donate and do other things than that, so maybe I should modify the list a little bit so nobody's excluded. So I'll see what I'm gonna do. I appreciate everything, guys, not only the Patreons. I appreciate the donations that you make, financial or parts, and I appreciate even the people who just are here and watch and subscribe and share, because that's also a great support. So once again, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, by the way, in the beginning of the next episode, can you remind me to zip tie, to spot weld this? I forgot.